You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Welcome to Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living with your host, Rosalind Sedacca. Join Rosalind each week on a journey toward overcoming life's many challenges to achieve peace, empowerment, and positive transformation. It's time to relax, unwind, and transform your life with Rosalind Sedacca.
Hello, everyone. This is Rosalind Sedacca, and you are listening to WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. And our show is Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. And every week we talk to experts about topics related to getting divorced, going through divorce, transitioning after divorce, dating after divorce, and starting over a new life with the best possible sense of self-confidence and self-esteem, looking forward to a brighter future. And I'm always excited about the guests we have, and today is no different because I want to introduce you to Sue Rumack. Sue is a life coach, and she helps divorcing women redefine their unique divorce identity from bitter, untrusting, and angry to the empowered, respected warrior woman who is living her future vision even before her divorce is final. Sue is a professional life coach for 15 years. She's an author, speaker, and designer of leading-edge learning materials and workshops for the highly sensitive person. She excels at helping clients redefine who they are becoming as they negotiate through divorce and other life trauma. So welcome, Sue.
Hello, Rosalind. I'm so excited to be here. You and I have had our conversations, and we just go on and on and on whenever we get started. So I am
exactly
thrilled.
Well, thank you.
Identity.
And we're going to talk today about the power of the divorce identity, what we want people to know and understand about divorce identity. And that's a topic that we haven't broached before on this show, so I'm very excited. Why don't we start by your letting us know what divorce identity is?
Well, in brief, divorce identity is the changing person who begins his or her transformation during the marriage. Divorce is even on the table as a possibility. So this identity is actually formed by who you believe yourself to be inside the marriage. It has nothing to do with how you saw yourself in your career or even who you were at home and how you're different from who you are at home to who you are at work. And divorce identity is fed by all the trauma of divorce negotiation as well. And sadly, divorce identity is that of a victim. It's often how that victim identity gets dragged into life after the divorce to define you in every new relationship. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So let's focus on women and what's unique about divorced women's identity.
Well, the divorced woman's identity it's actually incredibly unique because it's most likely the only time in her life that, other than living through a life-altering illness, that a woman has the immediate hands-on control over defining and redefining who she is through the actions that she takes. So in your uniqueness, you can control your future, and has nothing to do with the money, the house, the kids, everything to do with who you're rebuilding yourself to be.
So it's giving a woman an opportunity that she may not have had she not had this divorce, because she wasn't looking in that way inside. Is that right?
Absolutely. If anybody who's listening to this podcast would like to actually do a little journaling exercise, I'm going to give you some questions you can ask yourself, and I can make it available for Rosalind to post somewhere later so you can actually pick up the list. But you could ask yourself, and you have to be totally honest. Nobody's listening. It's just you. Who are you right now this minute? Who are you right now this minute? Who did you used to be before you met and married your husband? Who were you before him? Who did you become during your marriage? It's a third personality. who showed up inside your body and your mind as your divorce proceeded. Again, a fourth personality. And what's the best and the worst of this woman living inside your mind and body right now? So you can journal. You can take a page for each one of these and just write out your answers to those questions. And you'd be surprised at how much shifts in what you think about yourself and your own divorce identity just by doing that little exercise.
Those are definitely profound questions to think about. And it's definitely true, I found in my own divorce, that it brings you to the brink of really deciding how to redefine yourself, and it gives you the opportunity to take risks and chances you may never have taken before. Is that right?
Absolutely, 100%. You can think of yourself, no matter what's going on in your divorce, no matter how bad it is right this moment, how bad it looks, you can consider yourself to be a blank canvas. And you can just start changing up the kinds of decisions that you make so that you feel better about yourself. You feel more real about who you really are, and and you can see the results of the actions you take. You become that blank canvas, and you're rewriting, redesigning who you are in that whole process. It's the most empowering thing you can do is to make one change, see what happens with it, and then begin to make baby step changes that follow. Things you'd never expect that you would have done, you're now doing.
That's great. You mentioned that career women may be at high risk as a result of the divorce multi-identity personality. Talk a bit about that.
That's actually one of my favorites. Absolutely one of my favorites. So if you're a professional woman and you are one personality at work, right? You're powerful, you make great decisions, solid decisions, you're a really good negotiator. You've got people that trust you. They hang on your words, they hang on your decision. They're coming to you for validation. Now, you're on your way home from work, you've had a whole day of being that person. And the closer you get to home, the more you feel something inside of you shifting. By the time you put your key in the door, you might have slipped into invisibility because you don't want to be seen by whoever is waiting for you at home. You might have slipped into martyr because if you resist too much, there's emotional and physical abuse that might follow. And there's no doubting that career women are just as physically abused, perhaps even more, than stay-at-home moms or ordinary office worker women who are divorcing. The career woman is also possibly a mother. So she's got her career personality, she's got her wifely personality, whatever that's become. Then she's got the mother bear personality, how she's looking out for, protecting, doing everything she can to make sure that her children's lives are as little impacted by what's going on in the house as possible. Then she's got her friends. She doesn't want them to know what's going on in her life, so she's got this whole other persona that she brings to them. She's got her family, her relatives. She perhaps doesn't want them to know what's going on, so she's creating a secret life that she tells them about that isn't real. So she's living in all these multi-realities, these multiverses. And how does she bring that all together and stay sane? The divorce is that catalyst that can tip her over the edge and completely destroy whatever identity, the powerful identity that she has, just shatter it, if she doesn't have support systems to help her keep everything regulated in some way.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And how do we put those things in place?
Permission. We end up having to give ourselves permission in each one of, again, take out your journal. Write down who are you in each pieces of those of your life. Who are you at work with your husband, with your kids, with your family, with your friends. Write a page for each one of them. What permissions do I give myself to be more of who I really am? To trust that people will support me if I tell them what's going on. And if they don't support me, what permission do I have to be strong enough to let them go? Take back your power. So managing the trauma of the multi-personality issues, along with the trauma that you're going through that is really life-threatening in the divorce, you have to be prepared to give yourself permission to change up some of the things that you've always done, and give yourself permission to let go of some people and some behaviors that you've always done, even if they never served you. It's the beginning of that blank canvas. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. Since our show is so focused on children, talk a little bit more about how the divorce of identity affects the kids, because that's such an integral part of who we are as mothers.
This is a part that when I'm working with my clients who have kids, the thing that they say to me is, I'm hiding so much from my kids. I don't want them to know what's going on. I don't want them to be affected by the divorce. But what we fail to recognize is that kids are energetic beings. They read what's on the wind, just like your cat or your dog or your hamster. Mm-hmm. They know without knowing how they know that there is trouble and that mommy is sad. Mommy is hurting, and mommy is trying to protect them. So a child will turn around to become your nurturer. They'll become your parent. So that's one aspect, is to give your children permission to be children. Take back that responsibility from them. The other piece is, how do we trust our children? We begin to lose trust that our children actually are safe for us to share with, because we don't know what they're taking back and telling daddy, mm-hmm. and how what they tell daddy might impact your divorce negotiations. So we tend to walk on eggshells now around our children. Our children begin to notice there's a change in the power structure between them and us. At all times, it's in our children's best interest for us to be the parent, to lay things out and have those honest discussions with them. Even if you're admitting something that you don't want to admit to them, admit it at their understanding level. If it's a 3-year-old, you're going to say whatever it is that a 3-year-old will understand. If it's a 14-year-old, you can be a lot more honest and actually define the power play that's going on. Not making it their issue, but being clear that there is a power play, and they do have a part in it. So give them the respect that a 14-year-old deserves. 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, they have a whole other way of integrating it. It usually is, how am I safe? How am I going to get my food, my shelter, my pleasure, and my safety, my security? How am I going to know that I'm as safe as I've always been? So it's how we have those conversations with our children and how we create a trust bond with them.
Well, this is very important information you're talking about, and through the Child-Centered Divorce Network, I align myself with a lot of the same messages, and I really appreciate what you're saying and telling us. And there's something important I want to ask you right after we have this quick break. So we'll get right back with Sue Rumack.
Welcome to GoingSoloTravelers.com. Going Solo Travelers is about connecting, making new friends, exploring, and enjoying new fun times together. Laughter and the excitement of seeing and exploring something new creates memories that will last forever. Come join us on GoingSoloTravelers.com.
Okay, we're back. It's Rosalind Sedacca, and you're listening to WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. And Sue, did I pronounce your name correctly, Sue Rumack?
You did it perfectly. I can't
good.
believe that you did it so well. Thank you.
Okay, so Sue Rumack, who's a life coach and helps divorcing women redefine their divorce identity. I wanted to ask you about what you call the divorce identity downward spiral. Can you describe what that looks like and how it impacts a woman's future?
Absolutely, 100%. First of all, I'm going to give you the different levels of the spiral. And I'd like everybody to visualize in your minds a spiral staircase. It's very wide at the top and narrows down to a funnel point at the bottom. And you're just going to see, as I'm saying, the spiral moving down to that tight end at the bottom, okay? Mm-hmm. So what happens, what actually starts first is denial. We deny that this is even happening, that divorce is even a possibility. We deny that we have any part in it. Okay, it's not happening. Then comes disbelief, followed by distrust, which is followed by a self-pity party. And at the self-pity party, depression, if you weren't a depressed person before, a certain level of small depressions begin to slide in. After self-pity party and the depression comes self-recrimination. It's all my fault. If I'd done things differently, if I'd lost the 20 pounds when he told me to lose the 20 pounds, if I'd bought the new wardrobe that made me look sexier, who knows? The self-recrimination comes in. If I'd kept the house cleaner, if I'd worked harder. Mm-hmm. Followed self-recrimination, again, is more depression. Then if you follow with emotional self-abuse, more depression. Anger at yourself, then anger at everyone else. And we're spiraling down to hate, With hate, we go into very deep, tight feelings. And then as we're moving further down, there is revenge. What can I do to get back at this guy so he hurts as much as he hurt me and my kids? Then we go to chronic bitterness and chronic depression. So those are the 15 steps. Denial, disbelief, distrust, self-pity, depression, self-recrimination, more depression, emotional self-abuse, more depression, anger at yourself, anger at everyone else, hate, revenge, chronic bitterness, and chronic depression. The divorce identity actually gets locked into, if you follow this spiral into the negative place, and you don't have to do that. It is not written in stone. You have to follow the spiral. But if you do end up there, you do end up in chronic bitterness, that bitter woman is going to follow you all the days of your life. She is going to embitter every future relationship. And you're almost guaranteeing that it's going to be a rinse and repeat cycle for every new relationship. So we want to cut that off right at perhaps the self-pity party. Denial, disbelief, distrust, those are all natural progressions. Self-pity is where we begin to give ourselves permission to continue down that spiral. So really, that's only number 4 on the list. How can we stop that? How can we turn it around? Awareness. A lot of self-awareness. Question yourself. When you feel yourself going into the depressed place, okay, that depression, that's an inner warning from your inner self. It's not an emotional thing. It's actually a chemical thing that's going on in your body. Your survival brain, your limbic brain system has actually shot your system full of adrenaline and cortisol and all of those chemistries that affect and create depression. Okay? That's a warning signal to you that this is an opportunity for you to turn things around. When you go into that self-pity party, it's like, oh, stop. What's going on here? What do I need to do? What's my next step? How can I bring myself, what's my reality? And what's my next most positive choice to make in this? And that's where you begin to turn it around. If you continue on down through the list, okay, you move into self-recrimination. Now you're going to feel a lot of stuff going on in your body. There's going to be a lot of aches and pains and chronic illnesses that begin to show up along with that depression. So when self-recrimination is a huge red flag that it's time to get help. Talk to a coach, talk to a therapist, talk to your friends, write in your journal, figure it out. Show yourself that it isn't all you. You aren't the only one in this game. And then figure out how you're going to negotiate with yourself to get yourself out of self-recrimination. Okay? Moving on down to self-emotional abuse. Just keep on going. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I remind my clients when they're going through this cycle to monitor their self-talk, because most of what's going on is what we're telling ourselves. There doesn't necessarily have to be any truth in it. It just becomes our story, and we tell ourselves our story again and again and again and keep validating it when it doesn't have to be. If we take the time and the effort and give ourselves permission to change the story, we can change the outcome, right?
Absolutely, 100%. That story that we tell ourselves, the story that you're telling people to pay attention to, actually also take them to the next stage. As they're telling themselves a story, ask them what their body is saying. Where is the pain in their body? Is there something going on in their gut? Is there something going on in their throat? Are they feeling fuzzy between the ears? Do they feel as if they're deer in the headlights? What's actually happening in their physical body is chemistry that's going ping, ping, ping because of the self-talk. And reversing the self-talk, finding the truth about the other side of the self-talk, okay, the reversal of it, where the truth really is, that begins to reverse the chemistry, which makes a woman much healthier and happier as well. So it's the two pieces. It's the self-story plus the body talk that's going on at the same time.
Yes. Well, this is so helpful, and I wanted to stop here for just a moment to give you an opportunity to let our listeners know how they can find you and learn more about this kind of work.
You can find me on my website at courageouspath.com. Will there be a link to that in the description? Okay, so it's courageouspath.com. On my website, you will make an appointment if you want, and I will be very happy to provide a 60-minute consultation that is free of charge to see if there's something that we can do to help you with your divorce identity so that you're not dragging it along behind you for 10 years after your divorce. I really do look forward to talking to people. So go to my website, find the Contact Me page, sign up for a free consultation, and we can start talking about your divorce identity and making it the best thing that ever happened to you. Because divorce identity is not always negative. It's up to you to turn it around and make it positive, because that's what you're going to take into the future.
And I think that's a great question to ask you. I just wanted to spell your name, Sue. Your last name is Rumack, Rumack. And let's talk about how we can turn things around and make it positive.
Well, the easiest way of turning things around and making it positive is to pay attention to what's changed in how you treat people at work, how you communicate with them, how you negotiate. And notice how if you've created a template for how you treat people, that template is coming out of your divorce negotiation. And now you've laid that template on top of the people that you work with at work, your relatives, your kids, your friends. Notice how that template is working. If it's not working, make a new template. And it's entirely within your grasp to stop allowing an identity that formed years ago, slowly creeping up without you even realizing it, to define who you are today. And talk to yourself. The self-talk is so important. Like Rosalind says, it's so important. Notice how you are with your kids. Be honest with your kids as much as you can and create trusting relationships with the people who support you. Have a strong support network of all kinds of people, therapists, lawyers, financial advisors, trusted friends, family that you trust, and put yourself at the very top of it. You're not at the bottom of that support network. You're at the top. You're asking for what you need. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need, because you'll never get it if you don't ask for it.
Absolutely. That's so true. And the name of this show is Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. And what you're talking about is empowered living, regardless of where you are in life. If you take those proactive steps, then you're going to live a more proactive, empowered life. And that's what we all want for ourselves, and especially because we're role models for our children, don't you think?
100%. I work with women who have children. They often have more than one child. And what women are telling me is, my kids go to my ex's on the weekend. They're with him for a week. And I'm afraid to tell them what's going on with our negotiation. They're asking me, Mommy, what's happening with, how soon will we be this, that, or the other thing? Has Daddy settled on the money? The older kids will ask these questions. How am I going to get my tuition for university? And women are afraid to tell their kids what's going on because they're afraid their kids are going to misunderstand it and blurt something out that might be a negotiation strategy that they've worked out. So I guess it's a matter of how we recreate or build those new relationships with our children so that we can trust them and that we do speak to them authentically so they can never come back to us and say, well, you lied to me. You never told me that. It's different for every parent, but it's so important. And a lot of it has to do with, now I work with energy as well as life coaching. I teach people how to generate, you can call them energetic broadcasts, that actually get heard in the other person's heart and calms them down. It's a science. It has to do with your amygdala and your frontal cortex and your limbic brain system and your fight, flight, survival system, but it's actually quantifiable energy waves that you learn to broadcast out from the thought waves. You learn to create and send in a specific way that gets you heard without ever having said a word. It's incredibly useful. It's very powerful, and it works.
Unfortunately, we are at the end of our time, but I know what you're saying works, and I'm so glad you brought it up, and I'm so glad we had an opportunity to talk to you, Sue Rumack. And I know that you also have a checklist of divorce identity behaviors that will be available. This is a wonderful opportunity for people to really jump in and learn more about this important facet of divorce and having high self-esteem. So thank you, Sue.
Oh, I enjoyed every single minute. Rosalind, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you bring such good to the world.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So we're going to say goodbye for now. This is Rosalind Sedacca, founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network. You could find all of my resources at childcentereddivorce.com. And this is WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network, Divorce, Dating, and Empowered Living. And we look forward to talking to you again next week. Bye-bye for now.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.